You still came to church. You still worshiped. You still praised. You still lifted up holy hands. You still, watch this, were in love with God. Job says, I know I'm where I am because I've been walking like God has been leading me. As a matter of fact, it's beginning to seem that at least for a moment, Job has concluded that he is no longer going to try and figure out what he's done wrong to deserve this, or listen to the rhetoric of his friends who want him to confess to something that he has not done. But what he is going to do is finally give himself some credit for living holy. Oh, I wish I had some holy folk who need to thank God right now. Now, I can't say I'm rich. Can't say I always do the right thing, but guess what? I'm living like God wants me to live. Job said, I'm going to applaud myself for doing what I know has been the right thing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to encourage myself through a discouraging moment. And every now and then, you can't wait for friends. You can't wait for family to encourage you. Every now and then, you got to pat yourself on your shoulder and say, you know what? You still love God. You still worship. You still bless his name. You're still faithful. And watch this. Sometimes, my brother and my sister, you need to remind yourself that this storm just may be the fruit of faith and not the fruit of foolishness. You missed what I just said. This storm. I don't know about the last storm, but this storm is only here because I've been faithful. This storm has only showed up because I trust God. Even though he's going through a discouraging moment, Job knows that he has some reasons to be encouraged. He says, I've done what God wanted me to do. And yes, the devil's on my trail, but he's only on my trail because I've been faithful to God. If I was living like I used to live, he wouldn't have to track me down. He knew where to find me. But since I've been faithful, he's been after me like never before. Job says, I've never been through anything like this before in my life. But watch this. I know I'm walking in order steps. You missed what I just said. He says, I've never been through anything like this before, and I'm only going through it because I'm faithful. You missed what I just said. If I was living like some other folk, I wouldn't be upset. But Job says, I'm dealing with this stuff because I've been faithful. Even though I've had opportunities to stray from God, I've stayed connected. Look at the text. Job says, God knows where I am and what I've done, and that's why when he has tested me, I will come forth as pure gold. My feet have followed his steps. I've kept to his way without turning aside. I've not departed from the commands of his lips. I've treasured the words of his mouth more than my daily bread. And Job says, you know what? I'm tired of worrying about why things are the way they are. I'm tired of worrying about why I'm the one going through something like this. I'm tired of trying to figure out how come folk who don't even worship don't have the problems that I have. I'm tired of trying to figure out what I've done wrong when I know that the facts of my life say I've been faithful. My brother, my sister, there comes a point when you've got to look at the details of your life in context. Even when the present circumstances contradict the prior proof. The present circumstances may say things are jacked up, but the prior proof says I've been faithful. The present circumstances may say that things have never been this bad before, but the prior proof says you've been fighting a good fight. The present circumstances may say I've hit rock bottom, but the prior proof says you've trusted God all the way. When you had nothing, you trusted God. When you were broke, you trusted God. When you had no job, you trusted God. Job says, I ain't worrying no more about what I can't control, because if there is one thing that the details of my life make clear, it is that God has always received my best. You see, sometimes when stuff is happening in your life that just don't make sense, you've got to have the wisdom to remind yourself, this time I ain't do nothing wrong. This time I didn't mess up. This time I ain't put my foot in my mouth. This time I ain't show up at the wrong place. This time I didn't stray off course. And if I didn't mess up, if if I didn't do the wrong thing, if I didn't stray, then I am not going to take another hit to my mind that I do not deserve. But what I will do is encourage myself by reminding myself that I did what God told me to do. And if I'm being punished for doing the right thing, here's my declaration: if I suffer with him, I shall also reign with him. Here's my hope, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be mine. Here's my shout: it's just a test, and when he has tested me, I will come forth as pure gold. Here's how I encourage myself: in due season I will reap a harvest. If I need about 55 folk who need to thank God right now that I'm holding out for my harvest. No, talk to yourself. Say, I'm holding out for my, who holding out for? Say, neighbor, I'm holding out for my, laugh at me, talk about me, poke fun at me, call me a holy roller, look at me like I'm a fool, but guess what? When I come through, I will come through. You missed what I just said. You laughing at me now, but wait till where my folk who can see right now that I will come through this. And when I come through, you ain't gonna have nothing to laugh at. You better hate me now, because you're gonna hate me more then. Because when I come through this with my hands up, with my head up, with my joy back, with my peace back, with my hope back. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Pinch your neighbor who acting like ain't nothing wrong in their life. Say, when I come through this, and I will come through this, I'm going to step on your shoes when I shout, just to remind you, if it had not been for the Lord on my side, I would have lost my mind in the storm, because I will come through. Watch this. Tell your neighbor, say, you better get all your laughs in now. Get all your taunts in now. Because you're going to hate me in a few more tickings of the clock. Because I see. You missed what I just said. See, Job says, I know how to reminisce on my own life. Or maybe that's it. I just hit something. Maybe some folk don't have no faithful moments in their past to go back to. But there's some folk who may be jacked up now, but in my past,